Good morning, friends. Atunde Story here. How you been? Just another morning that we get to share together. Uh, new digs? Not really. Just in a different place. New hairdo, yes. Couple of changes. I wanted to jump on this morning. It's the day after the spring equinox and just check in with you. Yeah. Um, and to share with you a little bit of the changes that have been happening with me. So, if you allow me, let's jump in. Uh, got my coffee. Hope you got something where you can settle in so we can just talk for a little bit. And this morning, it may not be similar to videos that I've put up before because I just want to talk to you this morning. We're friends. We're in this virtual space together. So I thought that we could just chit chat and we can just uh, share with one another this morning. So, what's been going on with me? The last time we were together, I was talking through what my next step would be as far as me moving into a deeper level of my destiny and my purpose. And uh, as you know, in the last video, I had made an open declaration that I was a spiritualist, that my spiritual practices were geared towards African traditional spiritual practices, not necessarily a religion, because I use an amalgamation or a blending of sorts because I have such a diverse blended history. So what I do as far as spirituality is concerned is a mix of and an honoring of my ancestors through various spiritual practices that are in my heritage or in my lineage. Many of you have heard through some of the other videos that I've posted. I'm a New Orleans girl. I'm a Southern girl. You know, my roots are deep in New Orleans, but also digging through my ancestry, having French roots, Spanish roots, Native American roots, Haitian roots. So I am honoring all parts of me through my spiritual practices. Um, with that being said, in my last video, I did make a declaration that I am a spiritualist, which was a big step for me because my background lends itself to a more traditional, conservative religious practice. And it was like a lightning rod in the ground once that was something that was uttered out of my mouth, so to speak. And what's been going on with me since that moment was spirit was trying me by my word. And what I mean by that is that, you know, sometimes we'll say, hey, I'm going to do this. I want to be this. I'm going to move forward and commit to this or that person or this, whatever we're committing to. And I had made an open declaration to commit to my spiritual practices. And that is what's been happening for me and with me and to me and through me. And I've shared before that I'm a PhD. I am trained as an educator. I have 4 degrees, PhD, all of those wonderful secular material things that we can gather as far as intellectual or educational goals are concerned. And in my PhD, I wrote about these phases or what I called in my dissertation the selves. And I've talked about my dissertation before, so you can go back and watch some of those content, some of the content that I've talked about my dissertation. And if you want to hear more about my dissertation, you need to let me know in the comments here. But what I talked about was this way in which we are, throughout the way that we become, we are deformed in our past selves. And that deformity comes through trauma. It comes through losing ourselves, losing our way. And a lot of that is done in our childhood, in our past selves, whether that be 6 years old, whether that be 12 years old, whether that even be 17 or 18-year-old, which I found for me through my writing, it has been in all of those phases, but most of the betrayal that I have encountered to myself as well as by others that I've allowed to happen, or by chance or what have you, has happened when I was very, very young, 6, and when I was in my very formative years of being 12 and 14. So I said all of that to say that what I had to do was literally go back into that space, because even when we are becoming, and we think that we're becoming as an adult, or what is legal, because we talk about it through a secular lens of talking about what is that, the legal age of what it is that we're doing, whether it's to drive, whether it is to vote, whether it is to whatever those things we're doing. Spirit doesn't operate like that. In the secular world, we put a time on when we get to do something, but spirit does not function in the same way. And when I made this declaration, Spirit brought me back to that time, in those moments where I had already started to be what I wanted to become. And it was kind. It may sound confusing because I'm an older woman, and now I am becoming what I used to say I was going to be. My mom would say, when I was a little girl, I would sit out with my animals and play, and I didn't need company because I had plenty. I had about 20 different animals, and I would line them up in a row. And what it looked like to her, because she was looking at me through the screen door, right? I was in my moment, but she was an observer, right? And what it looked like to her was that I was teaching, that I was talking with my class, I had my notes and what have you. And in that moment, I was a teacher. I was this power person in my own head, right? And as time went on, power, influence, and what my purpose, what I thought it was, had shifted. And I thought it was about business, because for me, what I saw, the people that were in power and had all the influence were business people. They were the movers and the shakers of the space. They were the decision makers and the people with the authority to make those decisions, right? So when I was coming up legally, over 18, whatever you want to call that, I had moved into a space of economy, of commerce, of business, and I wasn't fulfilled. I was well. I did well, but it wasn't what I was called to do. So there was this another shift and iteration of my life where I had become a mother, I got married, and even though those things were great, they were wonderful, they were fulfilling, it was not what I was called to do, what my purpose was, or what I understood the reason why all of this is for me. Why am I here, right? So there was this other shift where there was this awakening, like this, in my spirit. And that was my initial shift into African spiritual practices. So for years, I've been on this journey of learning, of research, of actual ritual work and what have you, to develop and to honor and to commit to that spiritual practice. Well, in my last video, when I made the declaration, Spirit had brought me back to what my purpose is. And in this absence of virtual absence that I've been in, I realized what I was doing in those moments. It was me teaching, of course, but it was this not secular. It was me bringing in the spiritual and the material things, because I was able to bring those things together and manifest something great. Now, what I mean by that is I understand now more than ever that in my spiritual awakening that happened a few years ago, that awakening was for me to see, revisit, recommit to who and what I am truly meant to be in this space, in this time, with you, with myself, with others that I'm connected to in a more intimate level. And it is a healer, it is a teacher, but it is also to be connected in this way that I'm able to teach what Spirit is teaching me. So whatever that name is, that title is, what I call it is a spiritual teacher, a healer. And we've talked before, I do not facilitate your healing. I am just a guide. Atunde walks the path with you as you facilitate your own healing. And I share my story with you so that you understand, first of all, you're not alone. You're not crazy. You're not whatever that thing is in the back of your head, right? Because I've experienced that. I've gone through that or something similar, and we're in this, right? But Spirit had to make sure that I understood on a profound level what I was doing. What I was doing was moving in such a way that my experiences and my moments and my life had become something that would be on display. Not necessarily that I wasn't teaching like a secular teacher, because I am a teacher, I'm an educator, but that my teachable moments would go beyond or surpass the classroom. And that scared me, because I have my kids, I have a daughter born from me, but I have about 300 kids. So even in that, I understand the emotional work. I understand the spiritual work. I understand the intellectual work and all of what all that can entail. And when Spirit has shown me that the platform that I would move into was even beyond that, it scared me. I was like, wait a minute. I don't know if that's something that I can hold on to and commit to, or be dedicated, or be enough for, or have enough to say. Because in my journey, there are times when I don't have anything to say. And I know what this space can be. I even know for myself, my virtual mentors, there are times when I go and I'm searching, right? And I'm looking because I need them to say something to me so that I can do whatever that is, or move forward, or be motivated, right? And it scared me to think of myself in the way that I saw them. And what was happening was that there were moments that I had to go back and listen to their moments, right? Because my mentors or people that are, they're like me, they're spiritualists, but they're also people. They're human. They share their very human experiences, which is why I admire them. And I had to figure out that you too get to do that. So that's part of why I haven't been here. You know, I needed to be in my own moment to be here with you, if that makes sense. Because what I've learned is that there is no pouring out from an empty cup. Y'all know I love my coffee. Got my cup, of course, New Orleans girl, and what I had to realize was that although it was admirable for me to be in a space because I'm a nurturer, I want to see people whole. I want to see people on purpose, living that who am I question to the fullest. But what I was doing was giving from an empty cup, or half full cup, or a cup that needed more. And what I realized was that this cup, whatever belongs in this cup, or whatever comes from this cup to the brim, belongs to me. And I was trying to pour into this space from what was in the cup. And that don't belong to y'all. As much as I love you and want to see you grow and want to see you on purpose, that was not for you. And I had to shift, because we've talked about shifts, and understand that my cup has to be full and you drink out of the overflow. Because now this cup, this spiritual cup, this metaphorical cup is overflowing, friends. It is full and overflowing. You ever turn the water on to fill up a pot and you walk away and you come back and that pot is running? But now you get to experience this overflow. And what I will say is that in moments when there is no overflow, there won't be videos, there won't be content. And I had to be okay with that, because I want to be as connected to you as I can. But I also have to be first partaker of that connection. And if I'm not connected to myself, or what my needs are, or being connected with spirit, I can't give you what I don't have. And I refuse to be a gimmick. I refuse to be something on display that is performing, because that's fake. And that's the only way that I can say that. And I never live my life in a way that I am not who I want to be, how I want to be, where I want to be in this part of my life. You understand? And being a people pleaser, being a yes person, that's a part of the lesson. We cannot give what we don't have. And we cannot say yes to everything. We cannot explain and nurture and love and support when we don't do those things ourselves. We can expect others to do those things for us if we don't do those for ourselves, and have boundaries. Having clear, distinct boundaries. No is a complete sentence. So I have some notes here, and I just want to share briefly the those reflections that I was having, because it's like, okay, Atunde, what do you have to say? What did you learn? What's the lesson, right? Because our question is always why, not why, but what was the lesson? There's never anything wasted if you've learned something. No money spent, no time invested. If you've learned something, if you've gleaned something from the moment, from the experience, from the interaction, because everything is transactional. You get something out of it as well as the other person or whatever you're doing this exchange, because every relationship is transactional. Go check out some of the other videos. We've talked about that, right? So when I declared myself this great spiritualist person, entity, whatever you want to name it, guide, healer, I went through a depression. And I had to acknowledge that, because there was this mourning, not mourning like we're in this beautiful mourning, but this sorrow, this mourning process that happened for me. And what I had to realize was that, and I'm looking down and I'm kind of reading through my notes, that depression had to happen because I was mourning a part of myself that could not go with me where I was going. And I'm going to say that again. We talk about a lot of times where, we're in these levels of elevation and growth and development, and you can't take everybody with you, which is very true. But what I realized was that there was parts of me that I couldn't take with me where I was going, where I'm going. There was parts of me that I had to detach from and let go of in order to step into who I was declaring myself to be. And I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to sip my coffee. Let that sit with you for a second. You can't take parts of you everywhere. So what I've learned to develop in these moments is that silence is my friend. I was always, because I'm an educator, explaining what's going on and giving people clarity. Whereas what I had to learn was that my voice, my power comes from my words, my actions. And what I was doing was giving away my power through words of explanation, through sharing, because there was this energy exchange. Remember, every relationship is transactional. And the transaction, most of the time, is happening on a spiritual level. You ever talk to somebody and you feel drained? All y'all doing is arguing. When you feel incomplete, or you feel rageful or upset, or you need to go have you a drink or go get you something to eat. Relationships are transactional. What is happening is that there is a pulling away or a drawing away of a part of you in that transaction. And what I had to learn was that no is a complete sentence, and silence keeps me centered, keeps me balanced, keeps me whole. I don't owe you anything beyond what I choose to share with you. And that in itself was empowering for me, because as a woman, as a Black woman, I was groomed to be self-sacrificing, self-deprivating, which means that I deplete myself in order for there to be something for someone else, because I can go back and get it. Not so much. Where am I getting it from? Who's pouring into me? Remember, what belongs in this cup is for me. What flows out of it belongs to who I choose to share it with. So I couldn't take that part of me with me in this moment because she here. And there was this depression that was happening. So what I realized is that we despise sometimes, I know I do, the sadness, the depression, because it's not supposed to show up in that way. We don't have a great relationship with good mental health. And we have this stigma. We have this language that we use when we say we're depressed, and people kind of either back away from you or they're concerned that you're going to do harm to yourself. And it's like, no. Depression is a part of our growth, because there's a lesson in that depression. Depression is a part of the process of growth, because there is a loss, there is a sadness, and that sadness and that loss has a story. With help, whether it be a therapist, your spiritualist, yourself, your mom, your friend group, you need to process. You need to process that depression. You need to be able to get to the root of the why. Why am I sad? What happened? Why am I depressed? And what I've learned in my own depression was that I was betraying myself, because I had learned how to betray myself from others. Let me say that again. I was betraying myself because I had learned, remember, from a young age, how to betray myself, because I was betrayed by others. And that had become a behavior that I had become accustomed to. I had accepted. I had changed the language around. That wasn't betrayal. That was, they have something more important to do. Or I'll be okay. We say that, I'll be okay. No, you're not. You feel betrayed. You should honor that betrayal, and then you'll be okay. Because if someone betrays you, ultimately what happens in our depression is that we feel sad, mad, angry at ourselves, because we betrayed us in allowing them to dishonor us, to not value our time, our commitment, our relationships to them, our words. So what's the lesson? That depression has a lesson. The next thing that I learned, child, in the shift of identity, right? And I'm going to read this. In the shift of identity of me saying that I was a spiritualist, I had to declare in the last video what I do, what I plan to share with you here. And it was a lot of, oh my God, because I was accustomed to doing what I do for me, because I did not trust that if I had taken the leap to share with you what Spirit was sharing with me, that the messages would not work for you, and that in some way, I would be discredited or unreliable or a fraud or a sham. Child, I come from, deep Southern spiritual root, Christian roots, And it talks about soothsayers and seers. And yeah, I know the word, y'all. Being the spirit being cast out and it being a demon and all of that. And I had to process. I had to process all of those things because I see and I hear and I know that that is still spirit. That is still God. However you want to name it. Yes, it is God because it is something higher than me. It is something grander, bigger, wider, more creative, more powerful, more all-knowing, more all-seeing than me. And the relationship that I have with that thing, however you want to name it, I call it spirit, was that I was like, how can you trust me? How can you? Who am I for this thing, for this honor, for this task, whatever that is? And I had to flip back through what I knew. My spiritual stories, the Christian stories of scripture. God, spirit used the same kind of people. I'll let you go look on that for yourself. Flawed, scared, the one standing in the back, the one that got picked last for the kickball game, that was the one. And it scared me because I know too how much responsibility that can be, how much of an honor but a task that could be, how much of a physical toll that can take. And I was afraid. And in my naming of myself and defining myself as a spiritualist, I knew what that work was because I had done it before. Like I said, I'm a church baby and I come out of Pentecostal roots. I was the person that would usher in the Spirit of God at the very beginning because I'm a singer. I sang heaven into the place because my voice, my words, the message is where my power is. So me being silent keeps my power. Me saying no sets boundaries, right? So I'm like, okay, spirit, we're going to do this thing. But I had to understand lovingly because I had to detach some of the betrayal of the messaging that I had learned. God gonna get you if you don't do and you don't. And in this new space, spirit is accommodating. Spirit is loving. There is never a you're shameful. You should be. It's never. It's never a space of guilt, a space of dishonor, or a space of shame. It is always on my terms. And when I say my terms, it always ends up on time, in time, with plenty of time. Because Spirit is graceful and gracious enough to allow me, whatever that is. For me, when I'm not with you, I feel like I'm in a bubble. And this bubble is timeless. But it is also this protected space because Spirit is allowing me to lose my mind in a bubble or to develop and to grow. Think of that amniotic waters, that space of being hidden, but also developing into something that is beautiful and useful and productive and loving and all of those beautiful things. So for me, I'm like, okay, you're not going to kill me. I'm able to shift into my own voice, right? Because spirit can share something with me, but it's how I choose to deliver it that matters. Because if it don't make sense to me, it won't make sense to you. So I am a seer, I am a hearer, and I literally mean through spiritual eyes and spiritual ears, because we have spiritual senses. I wrote a book on that. That'll be out soon. I'm creating an audiobook for that. I'll keep you posted. We sharpen every time these interactions. The way in which we interact with spirit, our spiritual senses. So in this process of me being absent from you, I was sharpening even more so, trusting that I heard what I heard. I saw what I saw, and believing in my connection to spirit. Because I will say this to y'all, between me and you, I had to disconnect and detach from my Christian background of understanding how I relate to spirit. That spirit was not punitive. That spirit was not judgmental, or that spirit was not disappointed. That's a good word. That I can't disappoint spirit, because it is the process by which we develop in spirit that we become more of what and who we are meant to be spiritually. So that's what I was doing. And I want to share, because I don't want to keep you here long. I know we got to move on. It's about 7 a.m. where I am, by the way. Yeah, I said that. I'm just reading through my notes. You know, when I woke up this morning, and this is also something that Spirit had brought back to me. When I was younger, 15, 16, 17 years old, I used to journal. I am not a journaler, y'all. I write notes, but I'm not a consistent everyday writing in a journal. And I had to get better with forgiving myself and not judging myself, because I wasn't writing in a journal. All right. I mean, literally going back and unearthing and digging up roots of the ways in which I was betraying myself, and how I felt about myself, and the way that I talked to myself. Those parts of me can't go where I'm going. But I woke up this morning, and what I had to realize, Spirit brought it back to me. I've been testing your ear, your spiritual ear. I've been showing you things. Been, because I ain't 17 no more, y'all. Been. And the song that I woke up to this morning, because yesterday I had done some things in my home, and I'm on this new space. We are in the spring equinox, friends, which is a wonderful shift in the spirit realm. And this is why we are moving from our dormant, covered, under the earth phase into this flowering and this springing up in this newness of life that is spring. And this is what this is for me in particular. All the seeds that I planted are starting to come up out of the ground, springing forward. All of the desires that I planted, the prayers, meditations, those are seeds, are starting to spring up. But the greatest part of that, some of those things that we pray for will die in the soil. I'm going to let you sit with that. Because some of the stuff that we pray for wasn't good for us. And when we shift and be on purpose, the stuff that don't belong to you, that betray you, as we speak, will stay buried. Only the life-giving, life-sustaining fruit will come and spring forward to you. That is a prayer, and I speak that in my life as well as yours. But in this spring equinox, I'm like, okay, Spirit, I am that. I am the spiritualist that I declared myself to be, walking with you in this new part of my journey, in this new path that is, a part of this tree of life that I'm bringing forth in this life, right? And we'll talk about that tree of life and what that looks like, because for me, the tree of life reflects the roots. The root bulb at the bottom soon reflects the top of the tree. And we're in the living sanctuary, and I have this picture. It is literally what is going on in my spiritual practice. As above, so below. So let it be. As above in the heaven, that stuff that is physical, that stuff that is spiritual, as above in the ether, in the sphere that is in the impossible. As above, so below. The things that we can touch, the tangible things, the material things, the things that we speak become manifested. As above, so below. So I spoke that I was a spiritualist, and out of the spirit realm, I grabbed it. And here we are today. So I'm making my bed this morning, and Spirit's just reminding me, we've been doing this. Girl, we've been on this journey together. So the song that I'm hearing, because I'm having a little angst, like, girl, what you got to say to the people? The people don't want to hear from you. You ain't been checking in, right? The song, this a gentleman, and I'll link the song in the description. And it's these synchronicities, and synchronicities are these, yes, I'm here. Yes, you are on purpose. I told you, watch. It's just these little confirmations, right? Little affirmations and reassurances that happen for us. So the song, I guess you wonder where I've been. I searched to find the love within. And that's what I was hearing. And I'm like, I don't have to worry about people wondering where I've been, because I've been loving on me. Right? And I'm like, okay, Spirit, without a prayer, the thoughts that we have can become a prayer. My words are a prayer. I heard Mother Iyanla Vanzant say this in one of her messages. My very heartbeat, I felt that when I said it. My very heartbeat is a prayer. My words are a prayer, because I am a manifestation of my ancestors' prayers. I am the embodiment of the things that they prayed for. I'm a Black girl educated with a PhD and so much more. I ain't gonna share all my business with you. I'm the very thing that they prayed for. I am somebody's prayer answered. And if that don't make you excited about your purpose, being on purpose, child, I don't know what I could say to you. In this moment, I want to make sure that you all understand that in the shift, there is a part of you that you cannot take with you. And that whatever you start to detach from, there will be a mourning. Go through that and learn what that is, right? There is an expiration date on everything. I'm going to say that again. The Spirit brought that to me this morning. There's an expiration date on everything. On the creamer that I put in my coffee this morning, everything has an expiration date. Your loyalty, commitment to a task, and whatever that is. People, you gave me your word. Yeah. Then there is an expiration date on everything. You get to shift. You get to say, hey, there is a betrayal here. There's a disconnect. I'm not getting what I need anymore. There's an expiration date here. Ride or die, don't do it. There's an expiration date because your loyalty, your commitment, and your word all belong to you. I gave you my word when I believed this about you. I gave you my time when I wanted this. I'm no longer getting what I need here. So I get to remove myself. I get to shift. I get to change my mind. Right? So I say that to say this. This space will not become a place where I cannot shift. If I don't have nothing to say, I'm not going to say it. I will provide myself when I can. I will provide what I can when I can. And that is going to be our relationship. That is going to be our connection, because I will not come to you without something that Spirit say, won't you go on and share this with the people? That might be something important, because I won't be inauthentic and I won't be dishonest. I won't be disconnected from this process, from the purpose of this platform. And that's for us to have a good relationship with one another. So when I don't have any messages or any content, I won't share it. Now, here's my commitment to you. If you need me, you email me. You send me a message. I check my messages. I check my emails, all of those different platforms, right? Because we're here. I have the website. There are many ways in which you can say, hey, Atunde, can we check in? If I haven't been able to check in with you before you needed someone, or me, that's someone to check in, right? So that'll be our commitment to one another. Sometimes, child, it takes some time for us to get together in the morning. But also what I've done in freeing myself is I won't always show my face, because if my face ain't my face, we not going to show us. But I will. Y'all know what I sound like. It's only one of these, right? One that sound like this, right? I'm not going to be pressured in packaging what we do here in a specific way. So stay tuned to some of the shifts. I mean, you might get a pretty old picture in hear my voice, but I'm gonna give you what Spirit gives me, because as your guide, walking with you, it ain't always gonna be, well, sister got herself together. You know, I might have to tie my hair up and climb with you. But I promise you that's what we'll do together. Friends, I hope you've connected with something I've said today. I feel great about our next move, our next moment, and our next time together. So, with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you know when I'm up here. Come see me. Come when we talking, right? I love you. If nobody said that to you today, I love you. I am glad that you're here. I appreciate you sharing almost an hour with a sister. But until next time, know that wow, well, wonderful us. We'll see each other again. Hey friends, I'm Atunde, and this has been my story. Have a wonderful day.